Welcome to another Books and Things with Tom. This week I've got an author, a publisher, and a host of things that he does, all in one person. And it's like kind of like one-stop shopping. His name is Jason Alster, and he's a researcher, artist, he's a CAPA member, and he also does trailers.
Book trailers.
Book trailers. Welcome, Jason. It's a pleasure to have you back. He's actually on once before a couple of years ago, and today I think if I'm not mistaken, you were talking about your Leaving Home book going the last time you were here.
Actually, it was last time we talked about leaving home, going home, returning home.
Right.
This was a memoir that I wrote about my life in Israel. And in Israel, I was working as a biofeedback therapist, and I got into helping people with ADHD and learning problems. So I wrote this book and made a movie called Being in Control of Natural Techniques for ADHD, which eventually I turned into a video. And in the video of Being in Control, which was one of the very first self-help books for ADHD that were in color,
Wow.
what was unique is I had a page for different learning strategies, one for reading better, one for relaxed concentration techniques, one for improving handwriting, one for memorization techniques, and some others, and test-taking strategies. And what happened was, over time, I turned each one, I expanded on it, and I made it into a video. So the very first one was taking the techniques of being in control, the natural seated yoga techniques, and relaxed concentration techniques, and turning that into a video. That was the very first one. Then I took one, I made a video, the very first video ever on handwriting correction. I had when I put it up on YouTube, it had 60,000 hits.
Wow.
It was called Anyone Can Improve Their Handwriting, and then I changed the name, Anyone Can Improve Their Own Handwriting, because they said that wasn't proper English. So that, I made a version 1 and a version 2. And then after that, there was something about using art for relaxation, but handwriting and art go together because one of the techniques I showed in improving handwriting was you have to think and see like an artist to improve your handwriting. And I used some of these visualization techniques for thinking like an artist and seeing things different, so that if you have ADHD or dysgraphia, you can improve your art.
Just out of curiosity, and just a question pops in my mind.
And handwriting.
In handwriting, each person has its own handwriting and techniques.
Right.
Painting strokes are probably the same.
No, painting strokes, that's one of the things you can differentiate great artists. And that's one of the things that's very hard to forge, the actual painting stroke of artists.
Yeah.
And just to give one example.
It's individual.
It's individual.
Stroke.
And certain artists are very famous for their strokes. For instance, Van Gogh is very famous. He did a thing called macaroni type strokes, where it looked like little macaronis. And Monet has a very unique, very hard to copy stroke. Renoir is a very soft stroke. So yes, one of the ways that curators and forgers and experts, they can recognize an artist and that it's not a copy is very hard to copy stroke. The painting might be easy to copy.
Handwriting.
It's handwriting too. So, but I didn't really get into the understanding of a person through their handwriting. That's a whole separate field, graphology. I more was there to help students who had poor handwriting, like if they had ADHD or dysgraphia, how to improve messy handwriting. And then from that, I got into helping. I went to memory techniques, and I made a video on improving memory in senior citizens, because I also give workshops, And then I went into a video just recently, and I just put this out, how to improve your reading speed and comprehension, because I tutor and I work with ADHD. And this is different than many other reading techniques because it also includes relaxed concentration techniques and strategies for improving the comprehension, not just the reading speed. And this is different than something like the Evelyn Woods technique. You're not really teaching skimming or speed reading, but you're teaching how to improve your reading speed, but that's not the same thing as speed reading.
I tried doing that skimming, and you get yourself in trouble because 3 or 4 paragraphs later they're talking about it, and you go, "What? I missed that part." You got to back up, and then you got to read it over again anyway.
So after you look at the copy I gave you, you'll see how it's different than speed reading. And you brought up a good point because in speed reading, one of the problems with that was you don't really comprehend. Your comprehension level goes down. You're reading more pages, but you're not necessarily gathering the comprehension.
And then you got to read it over again.
The idea is like to reduce eye fatigue, or a thing called regression, where you're going over and rereading, or you're losing your place, or you can't understand the word. So if you have techniques to improve on those, you will increase your reading speed without necessarily speed reading. And another video that I did recently that I wanted to talk about, this I put out last year, is called John Singer Sargent, Secrets of Composition and Design. Well, in my book, Leaving Home, Going Home, Returning Home, I talk about a painting of my grandfather that it took me years to solve where he painted that painting. He was a Holocaust survivor, and his painting survived the Holocaust, but then he passed away right after the war. And I always grew up with that painting, and I wanted to find out where did he paint that painting. And I went on a trek all through Europe to find this castle that he painted that I couldn't find. In the end, I discovered what it was, and I solved the mystery of my grandfather's painting. And I did it like a Jurassic Park. I brought him back to life, understanding him as an artist. I was able to figure him out as a person, looking through his painting. And once I started solving art mysteries, by accident, I fell into an art mystery of John Singer Sargent. And I did a lot of research on this guy, and I'm an art teacher also. And I discovered that John Singer Sargent used Gestalt techniques in art. He might not have known that it was Gestalt. He might have known. Gestalt wasn't published until about 20 years after his death.
Oh, wow.
So it's hard to know where he got the ideas from. His father was a ophthalmologic surgeon, so he knew about laws of optics and laws of illusion, and that's what Gestalt deals with. And so I showed that he knew Gestalt laws, and I show this in the video, and therefore I solve a lot of the compositional questions about how he did his art. And he's considered America's #1 portrait artist now.
Wow.
And he's gaining more and more in stature, whereas people were criticizing him for many, many years. So I hope I can help his stature come up to what it should be.
Wow. You're busy.
I'm busy, I love it.
And I didn't mention that you're also a TV host.
I have my own show. It's called Meet the Author.
Meet the
You have to
Author?
come. We tried to get you on the show,
I was on it
but you're going to come.
last fall.
You were on Meet the Author?
I sure
You were
was.
supposed to come on Meet the Author.
No, I was
You were on it?
Yeah, on your TV show.
Okay,
Remember I gave you a book,
okay.
Mystic in the 50s.
You were on it. Okay,
was
that's
on it.
right. See, that's why I need this memory technique video.
It's not working.
You, all right, you know what? I remembered that we had a problem getting you on the first time.
Yeah, yeah.
And then, yes, you did.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah,
okay.
the first time was a difficulty, but the second time was.
Oh, okay. Cool. That's right. So we have this show out of Weathersfield Community Television. It started around the same time as you started your show, and and it's called Meet the Author, and it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy doing the show, and I like to understand the process of how an author, the creative thinking behind an author, and that goes along with my work as being a author myself and a creativity art teacher and teaching learning strategies. So I like the process, the thinking process of an author.
I think it's very interesting, again, having different authors on like yourself and everybody, because everybody's writing for a reason. Everybody's got something else they're working on. And it's just so fascinating how these people, I mean, some of the things that they write, I have no idea how to do that. I can't write fiction. I just can't. I can make up stories, but I don't know how to carry it on to an actual book.
Using the imaginative process. Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, because same thing with art. Some people are good at copying, but some people can do what I can't do. Just paint the painting from their imagination. I cannot do that, but many artists can do that.
At least in the photographs.
And some people, I like to paint from photographs. Some people like to paint outdoors, plein air. So there are different type of artists and different type of authors. I really compare the two because it's the same creativity, even with music. You're using a creative process in your mind, and I just love to see how people figure out to do these things.
Yeah. And like I just had Joe Gillespie on last week, a couple of weeks ago, and she just wrote her second book on the revolution.
Well, Joe Gillespie, now you mentioned, I interviewed her, and you mentioned that I'm with CAPA, and I'm actually a board member with CAPA, Connecticut Authors Public Association, but I write the column, Meet the Author, Meet the Member, right?
Right.
So Joe Gillespie was the last one I interviewed. She'll be in the next issue.
Yeah.
So I did read her books about
She's
the
a hot
revolution. She's a hot ticket,
Yeah.
and she writes very interesting stories about being there in the revolution from
Yeah.
the point of view of
Well,
what it was
it's-
like to be a simple person.
Excuse me. It's an historical event that she builds a story into, in which I think is fascinating.
And that was total, imagination, how she
Yeah.
did that. She's writing a fictitious story based on historical fact.
Yeah.
So you have to make this stuff up, you
Yeah.
know, in addition to the research. So that's
And
the
lo-
creative artist.
And along that line, I was watching TV last night. I think it was The Turn, which is a revolutionary show about the United States fighting the British, which is basically what her book is.
Right.
And I thought that was fascinating.
And coincidentally speaking, just when I had to review her book, I had to go up to Lake Champlain area in Vermont. And on the way back, my father took me to Fort Ticonderoga when I was a kid. And that was like the focus of the French and Indian Wars and the British and American Wars near Saratoga
Yeah.
along the Hudson during the Revolution. So it was really great to go to that area
Oh, wow.
and get into that. Just at the time that I was reviewing her book. And don't forget, I live in Wethersfield. Wethersfield is very historical
Yeah.
for the Revolutionary War period because it's also the first town in the United States.
Yeah. Wow, I didn't know that.
Very historical.
This whole area is just historical. It's unbelievable. I had a lady on the other day that has a stone house up in Old Mystic, and we've gone by that. Everybody in town has gone by this stone house and wanted to. And then a couple weeks ago, I drove by and I said, "Oh my God, they're working on it." The house had burned. I'm going to guess in the 30s. I don't remember the date. And it's been just this big stone building with nothing in it, no roof, no nothing. Everything was, and she's starting to rebuild it. And the history of the house is unbelievable. It goes back to the 1800s, and it's just. But I love history anyway, so
You do.
yeah. Now you're also work in a hospital.
Yes, I work in Hartford Hospital in the epilepsy monitoring unit, and I also run through Hartford Hospital, but for the Epilepsy Foundation, I run their epilepsy support group.
Wow. Wait, is there
I
anything,
do a couple things.
is there anything you don't do? But that's good. It keeps you busy. And obviously,
I even used to wait tables, so
oh really?
everything, you name it.
Yeah, but you're putting your spare time into good use, and helps people. Now you also make trailers for books.
Oh, yes. Well, being part of that author process, that's something that happened by accident in a way. For marketing, when you're an author and you have to self-promote yourself, one of the things you have to do is market yourself.
Yeah.
And because I was making movies and I was writing a book, and there's a thing called a book trailer where you show a short snippet, just like you want to see a trailer about a movie. You see a 2-minute snippet
Yeah.
or a trailer about the movie. So a book trailer has its own specific format. It's different than a movie trailer because in the movie trailer is to get you to watch the movie. Here it's to showing you a movie to read a book. So it's a different format, but I put the two and two together, and also having the television show where I'm understanding the authors. So I started to make trailers, and this is very interesting. I have to tell you, you talk about understanding authors, and one of the things that insights that my television show, interviewing authors and the articles that I write, is that I found out a lot of authors don't know what the message of their own book is. Sort of like an artist, and you can have this in art too, and I teach art, they don't know what the message or their painting or what their own style is. They just paint the painting because they're born with it, or that comes to my head, or they write the book, they don't really understand how to summarize their message. But when you have to make a 2-minute advertisement or movie, now you have to take the whole book and put that into 2 minutes. What is the message? What's your elevator pitch? Why should someone read that book
Yeah.
versus another book?
Yeah.
And you will be surprised how many authors don't know until they have to start writing the trailer
Yeah, that's a good point.
or coming on a show.
Yeah, because I know with my son Todd, people ask me what it does for people. I really can't tell you. I know it does a lot of good for people. I can't read the book because it's so emotional. But the thing is that I can't say, well, the scene has an impact of such and such or whatever, because I don't know. And I haven't had people tell me exactly what it is either. The other book, yeah, I can tell you what that's about. That's quick.
So one of the things I specialize in, like if you had come to me and said, let's make a movie on this, I would figure out what the message is, what that point is that people are getting that connection to, and put that into the video.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I do. So I'm happy you confirm that sometimes you do it and you don't even know yourself what it is that you're doing.
I think the other thing I should point out is a trailer. It used to be called a previews. And I remember finding out trailer. What do they talk about trailer? But it's actually the previews of coming attractions.
Coming attractions.
Which is, I don't know how they.
So they call them now
with.
video trailers. Do they? That's the name.
Yeah.
I didn't make it up.
I don't know, but they work.
Book trailers. But I do have actually on Facebook. I was the first one to do a Facebook page for video trailers. If anybody has a trailer or wants to learn a little bit about book trailers, they can go on Facebook and look up video book trailers, and they'll come to that Facebook page.
Well, that's cool. That's a good idea.
It's pretty cool.
And this show will be airing tonight at 9 o'clock, and we'll also be on YouTube, hopefully tomorrow night, and you can catch it again. I'm covering a lot of stuff here, and I'm just going over my notes and seeing what we're missing, but I'm sure there's something here that you have done. Now, your relationship with Kappa is...
I'm actually on the board of Kappa now, as you
board,
are.
yeah.
And I run the book, in addition to writing the article, Meet a New Member. I've been doing that for half a year now. I actually run the Kappa Book Marketing Networking Meeting, which specializes in book marketing networking.
Yeah.
And we meet, and then it's open to anybody. You don't have to be a Kappa member. We meet at the Wethersfield Library. This year, it's the last Saturday of the month till the end of the year. We meet at the Wethersfield Library on Silas Dean and Church Street, and it's from 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock. You can email me to confirm that you're coming at jasonalster@gmail.com. That'll show up, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm going to show that up.
Yeah. There it is
So,
up there.
and we work with how to market your books. And we just, it's an open discussion. Sometimes we have speakers, and we have open discussion, talking about a different topic. But yeah.
You've been doing that one for quite a while, too.
I've been doing that for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
And it's very successful. I've had, we cover any subject, and I've learned a lot from it. And we'll talk about the experiences of how the author marketed their book, what worked, what didn't work, if they got paid to speak, if they didn't get paid to speak, what they said, how did author signing events go, if they went to an agent. We also did plagiarism and copyright law. We had a talk on that. Steve Riley, our Kappa lawyer, came and talked about copyright laws. So a lot of things related to how to find a good publisher, a lot of things, how to find a good editor.
Yeah.
So all related to marketing your book. Which are the good publishers? Where did you print your book? Like I did mine in CreateSpace, an Amazon.com company.
Yeah.
So we cover all these topics.
Yeah. And that's what basically what Kappa is all about, is to lead people into areas that they have no idea where they're going.
Yeah, Kappa's a great organization for somebody who wants to write their story and they don't know where to start.
Yeah.
And there's so much out there. I mean, I had to write my first book when I was living in Israel. And it was so difficult for me to figure out the price and what was the format going to be and who was the publisher going to be. And that was in a country outside the U.S., and I had all these difficulties. And then when I came to the U.S. and I came to Kappa, because I'd already written my memoir, and I had to go through the same things. Which publisher do you do? Should you find an agent? Should you do it yourself? How do you market it? What do you charge? There's so many questions. And then they finally came to Kappa. All the information's there.
Yeah, they have a lot to offer, and including setting up book signings, and if you have a book out, try to take it to their book signing, try to hopefully sell it.
And you had that book. It was really great. Remember in Mystic, you had the book signing?
Yes,
I had attended that.
Yep, the old Mystic
The old Mystic,
Village.
Right? The old Mystic Village.
Yep.
That was great.
That was a really good program.
It was a great program.
And we got three different ones coming up this summer.
Keep me posted. I'll go to one of them. I got
Yeah.
more stuff now to sell,
Yes.
to market, to distribute.
Yeah, because we're doing one in Lebanon, and one in Colchester, and one in
Oh, so you're moving it
Boswell.
around, not just in
Yeah.
Mystic.
Yeah.
Oh, keep me posted.
All right.
See, that's how networking works in
That's
Kappa.
right. That's right. I'm making notes here. Email, book signings. And Monday night, you're going to be our guest speaker at the Southeastern Kappa
Thank you.
meeting.
I'm going to basically talk about the improved reading speed and comprehension. And don't forget, authors should have an interest in improving their reading speed because
Yeah.
they have to read. And I'm sure not all authors can read that fast. And
Yeah.
I just want to point out that usually people who might read between 80 and 150 words a minute, but with this technique, you should be able to double that, at least increase it by 10%, even double it, get to 300,
Yeah.
400 words a minute, which in the information age today, you have to read faster.
Yeah.
And I just want to point out, I actually researched this, I did a calculation, and it turns out that if you increase your reading speed by only 10% over your working lifespan from age 20 to age 60, you will save about a month in time.
Really?
Think about it.
Wow.
If you're going to read the same material, understand it in 10 minutes versus a half hour, that's 20 minutes you saved
Yeah.
times 2 hours a day times your 40 years of work. That's a lot of time.
It
Comes
is.
out to about a
Yeah.
month.
And I also find with me, the more I read, the quicker I get, because I guess it's just used to reading. And
And that's so true because when you first talk to people about reading speed, one of the things they'll say, well, if I read slower, I'll enjoy it more and I'll understand it better. And that's totally wrong.
Yeah.
All the research shows that the faster you read, the more you understand for many different reasons that I talk about in the video. But yes, the research has already shown, like you said,
Yeah.
the more you read, the faster you read, the more you understand.
yeah,
Now, I'm not talking about skimming. I'm talking
Yeah.
about reading faster.
yeah. Because I read a lot of books. With all the authors I know and people that come on my show, I have to read all their books.
So then I'm going to give you a copy, of course. Then this is going to help you, and I want to, you're going to do a test in here to see your comprehension and how fast you read.
Oh, good.
And then you'll check yourself again after you finish this video. Okay? And with time, it'll get better, your reading ability. And it doesn't matter how well you read or how fast you read, you will improve your ability. I say ability instead of speed, because also comprehension. If at least 10%, but maybe double.
That's great. So we only got a couple minutes left. The clock on the wall just told me that it's almost time. Anything else you want to discuss while we're here?
Well, I want to go to the memory techniques because one of the things I've been doing with memory techniques is going to different senior centers throughout Connecticut in the meantime. And I've already been to quite a few. So if there are any senior centers or community centers, it doesn't have to be necessarily senior centers that are interested in inviting me to give a workshop on memory techniques or speed reading. And I even had a 90-year-old lady increase her reading ability by 10%.
Really?
And that blew my mind. So
Oh, wow.
you can definitely increase your ability. And one of the things I also do is I teach art to senior citizens. And they just finished in Naugatuck Museum a display of artists by senior citizens. And they wanted to show that even senior citizens can paint. And about half those paintings were from my students.
Wow.
And seniors, and it's like amazing what the stuff you can put out.
That's great. That's unbelievable. Well, you're helping people in different ways to learn how to read, to help memory thoughts in your book. And that's very good.
So I'm happy about that.
Yeah, I'm happy for you. And I think we're running down to a couple of minutes here. I'd like to thank everybody for watching and your continued watching and sending emails, because at least that way I know there's people watching, because we have no way to tell if we don't have a machine or anything that tells us that. We've got a great lineup for May and June, or June. May's all done. Melissa McLaughlin is going to be talking about wellness and using mushrooms. Doug Seaver is another Kappa member who is an author and has got a new book out. Steve Liskow is author and a freelance writer. I'm reading his book, and it's called Whammers Jammers, and it's a mystery. Very interesting. Tish Rabe, you're going to love her. She's the lady that writes all the Cat in the Hat books for children, and she'll be on sometime next month. And for all of you aspiring writers, Kappa is the place to go. Contact me for information. I can tell you how we can help you, and perhaps other authors that are in our group can help you. And we are having a meeting on Monday night. If there's anybody out there who would like to attend, please contact me at Santos Tom at Comcast.net, and I can give you the directions, because it is at somebody's house and we can't give the house directions out. Tonight, the VFW in Pawcatuck is serving chowder and clam fritters, free with a beverage. And Friday and Sunday they have luncheon. And stop by, and the proceeds go to a good cause, obviously, for the vets. And tomorrow night they got their great fish and chips coming back. That's on the second Friday of each month, starting at 3 p.m. and ending at 7 p.m. Special thank you for the SEC-TV for sponsoring and hosting my show. You can check with www.sec-tv.org and see what we're all about. And there's a lot of shows on there that is now on YouTube. You can see those. I'd like to thank you for watching. You can email me at santostom@comcast.net. And tune in again next week. And you should be reading. Pick up a good book. Let me know. I'll send you a list of all the authors that we've had on the show here. And we just cuddle up with a nice book with the air conditioner on. And I'll see you next week. Thank you.